Uber One member Tracy Morgan here. Yesterday, my friend asked me, why'd you join Uber One? So I said, for 10% off my snacks and $0 delivery fee. Join Uber One.
Order minimums apply. Percentage off discounts only available for participating stores. See uber.com/Uber1 for details.
Rada. The Falcon has wings too. Falcon is the rat.
Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham.
I'm Batman.
Welcome to episode 87 of the Batman on Film Social Hour podcast. I am the founder of BOF, Batman on Film, Bill Ramey. Did y'all know that? I'm not even going to talk about the web TV this time.
Well,
But Peter hasn't been on in a while. He probably forgot about that story.
Yeah.
No,
About
I remember
BOF.
the web. It's in the BOF museum. The web.
So
TV.
yeah, let's see. I did say, I said Peter and I said Ryan. So I have Ryan Lauer and Pete Rivera, two senior BOF contributors, joining me on this episode of our ongoing series, The Batman Chapter by Chapter. We are going to cover chapter 12, titled A Falcon Has Wings Too, thanks to Lauer there. That's a good title, my friend. You're on the ball on that one. So what's
This is
been
my
going-
contribution.
So this episode, A Falcon Has Wings Too. Did y'all find this a shorter chapter than the previous ones?
I was surprised that it was only like 7 minutes.
Yeah. But like everything else in this movie, to me, it flies by. Like I just sit back in awe.
Because I have only 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of notes, and usually I have more than that.
Did any of you happen to listen to this chapter with the commentary by Matt Reeves?
I did not.
I did. I thought it was pretty interesting. He talks about Selina, how he wanted, like how this is essentially when the wig comes off at one point in the beginning of the scene. He's like, this is year one Selina, like right out of the comic book. Like he mentions that he's like, you could just see it, and she's very definitive looking. And he talks about his hallway shot because I know that's always a topic of conversation amongst the internet, you know. And he
I
explains.
think you're
his
ahead of
inspiration.
us on this chapter, right?
What am I?
So, like, chapter 12 is the arrival at Gordon and Batman, and then it ends like right when she gets down to Falcon's lair.
Did I not watch the right chapter? It said chapter 12.
Oh, did you not? Did you go Blu-ray, Pete?
No,
Did you go?
it's the same chapter.
Well, we're not at the. I don't know what tunnel you're. So this is all Mackenzie up on the roof. Confession.
No, this one
Falcon
starts
El Rata.
with Batman in the elevator shaft.
Okay.
All right, so I watched the wrong one. All right, I'm out.
No.
Well, no, you've
You
watched
know the
film
movie well
to
enough.
know.
You went to watch it. You even said you went to watch a different movie last night and said, or I can watch the Batman again.
Yeah.
And you watch the Batman again. I find myself with that dilemma a lot.
So let's start talking about it. Pete, you've watched it, what? How many times have you seen this movie? 7, 8 times?
I watch it every day.
Okay, well then you know that.
Every
Okay.
day.
It
Okay.
felt like there was a series of days where, like, at bedtime, you were sending me texts like, man, I love the Batman. And you sent me a screenshot watching the Batman.
I don't know what was wrong with me. You sent me one, I thought it was BBS. I went, BBS? What?
Yeah, I sent him a picture of Mayor Mitchell standing in front of the TV, and he goes, "You like BBS?" I'm like, "Well, I do, but I'm not watching it."
So, all right. So when we left off, Pete, chapter 11. We're going by the Blu-ray. Bruce has his epiphany in the hospital with Alfred. Alfred reaches out his hand. Bruce takes his hand, and the bat signal shining in a window, or shining through the window. He can see it out the window in the sky. And they like that signal. He's got to go. And so Batman and Gordon basically pull up to the bat signal meetup location at the same time, and they both believe that each one of the other turned it on. So they go up to their meeting spot to find what, Ryan Lauer?
They find Selena up there beating the shit out of Mackenzie.
Yes.
And I love the line of her saying, "I found him," cut to Batman, "I see that."
Yeah.
Classic Pattinson Batman direct line that also there's some humor in it. Yeah, great.
I noted she's almost like proud that she found him. And she says, "I found him."
Yep.
And
this has been her goal since the movie started. They've always had they've traveled a similar path, but their destination was always different. She's always been looking for Annika, and that's been her mission: is the death of Annika, the disappearance of Annika, finding Annika. Whereas Batman's concerned about Gotham City and the Riddler. So for a while there, they shared that similar path, and he was able to exploit her and use her, and fish on a hook, right? But here you could see like he's like, all right, now things are going to get difficult because we've reached the fork in the road.
Yes. Well, he mentions that right prior to the car chase, or during the beginning of it, this just got, what's he say, Lauer? Things just
complicated.
Complicated. Yeah. So Kinsey is getting he's getting hella beat out of him and by Selena, and he's like, "Gordon, help me out, man. She's got my gun," and they end up, Batman and Gordon kind of just watching in a way. And she ends up with the phone, and plays the recording of Annika. It was from Annika's cell phone.
Have you seen Clute yet? Or not
Clute?
Yet, but have you ever seen Clute?
I've seen Clute, yes.
Is this basically almost like direct nod to that? Is Clute where you do hear like a message, you're listening to a message and it's like a choking of someone, or is that not in Clute?
I have not seen Clute in a long time.
There's something that I watched recently, like a movie,
with
it was a documentary about movies, something or other, and I swear it was one of those movies, and it was like this, and I go, "Oh shit, this is the Batman." It was a movie from the 70s.
Well, Clute
I thought it was Clute.
Yeah, Clute was one of Matt Reeves' influences.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's kind of hard keeping up with all the movies that influenced this film, to be honest with you. There's several that's noirish type movies that influenced the Batman, and you're like, oh wow, okay, this is another one I have to add to my list of movies to watch. I remember the first one you told us, Bill, was what, the Third Eye, something about that. Like there was something about an eye. The movie, I bought it years ago when you told me to watch it.
Yeah,
it was very interesting. But Chinatown was one.
Yeah,
The Third Man,
Zodiac, maybe. the book Zodiac, about the Zodiac killer. So not only does Gordon and Batman, Gordon and Batman are kind of just observing. Like I said, she plays the recording. We hear, this is where we find out that it was, and everyone, the audience finds out, right, that it was Falcon who, choked her to death. Annika.
All of this is as we listen, which I think is very effective. Because we didn't need to see it. We didn't need a cut to flashing of it actually happening. We know what happens. We don't need to see it. We know. But it is the camera, jumping between all four of them, and they're like, here it is again. We spent a lot of time, Bill, in this series talking about the eyes of actors. but it's great facial expressions, and I think Kravitz does great here in her like pacing, and like her pacing, and like look, it's almost like and then like there's this. I felt like it's always effective every viewing of like kind of like pacing, and then it's like a stop, and it's like hearing, and then she does almost just like a shaking of her head, and then like a look at Batman, and then back, and it's just like without any of them saying anything. I think they're all really, really good in just mostly it's just their eyes, all of them.
At that point with Batman, it everything completely clicks for him.
Yeah.
While he's listening to that recording, we find out that the mayor has loose lips. Told Annika all about the whole freaking the thing, to take down Marone. I mean, the whole 9 yards. How he became mayor is part of the deal with Falcone, and they know that, Falcone strangled her, and Batman just says, "El Rada Alada."
Yeah. What I like
Falcon
about
has
it is
wings too,
Yeah.
it's Bill. You could see the detective in him put it all together in the scene. Lauer, to go back to what you were talking about earlier, the shots of all of them talking. What that does for me simultaneously, it sets the tone. You could see the adrenaline. You could see how Selena is a little bit more agitated than the rest. The pacing back and forth, the sassiness she has in her voice and stuff like that. But it's subtle things that, like, when Gordon looks at the gun, like Batman's talking to Catwoman, Gordon's focusing on other things. There's so much going on in this scene right now, and all Gordon's worried about is she going to be able to get to that gun and shoot somebody?
Yeah.
You could see the wheels moving and everyone. Batman's figuring out the case as she's talking after the recording. Gordon's worried about the moment. Selena's worried about her friend and getting revenge. There's a lot going on within this little rooftop scene, which in a way kind of gives me Long Halloween vibes. Just the way the camera moves and how like everyone has their perspective. It's not the same type of conversation, but like that gets into my head and I think of that, and then you automatically go back to Dark Knight and stuff, and
you got Kinsey, who's just worried about
living.
Batman, you can tell with Pattinson's expression, with his eye work and just his facial expressions, when he hears that recording, it's all come together. And he says, El Rada Lada. And
that recording gets me every time. Like, that's like, oh my God. Like, you don't have to, it's like the chainsaw scene in Scarface. You don't see the guy get chopped up by the chainsaw, you just hear him scream. You don't need to see it for it to be effective.
Yeah.
Because later on, then you actually see it and you realize how brutal it can be when it's right in front of you,
But I love that we also get a classic Batman move, how she says, "Come on, let's kill him," pulls up the gun, and he just like smacks it out of her hand.
Yeah.
And does the Batman speech of like, no, not that way.
And there's a lot of that in here. Like we haven't seen Batman this like anti-gun since, the trilogy.
No guns, no killing.
Yeah.
It's he gets it before even Gordon, because again, Gordon goes, "Falcone's the rat." And at that point, they look at each other and it's like, okay. And Gordon goes, straight to Kinsey, Falcone works for you guys. And that's what I'm, and I even was thinking that when I try to put myself in what I'm thinking during the first time I saw it, I was thinking, so at first, Falcone is he's a rat. He's a stool pigeon. He works for, he's not a big of a deal as I thought he was going to be. And that immediately is shot down because basically Kinsey explains that, everyone works for him. He's been the mayor the last 20 years.
I like his delivery of that too. Like his head's down, he's like, no. And then it's like he comes up, "We all work for him." Like, I don't know. That's good delivery by the actor.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be a huge surprise because throughout the whole movie, and Coulson says it too, this is bigger than the system. This is going to bring down the whole city. And Batman says it at Gordon at one point. He's like, this is big, the courts, the cops, this could bring down the whole city. And then you find out, like, This is true. Like, this is really big. This is the most corrupt we might have ever seen Gotham. You know, Falcone is the mayor.
Yeah, and it's all over the renewal fund. When Bruce's father died, Thomas Wayne dies, and even Kinsey explains that they all, I mean, everyone, freaking Maroni, Falcone,
it's money laundering system.
Yeah, the mayor, the DA, everyone went after this money.
I think it's a great way too, as like we're seeing as we discover this, of a great way to stick to that Gotham police are corrupt, which is a through line a lot in Batman lore, but they've made Reeves still made it different than what we've read in comics and seen in movies before too. So yes, it comes with something that I don't want to say that we need, but we, in our history, we know at some point like GCPD is corrupt when Batman comes onto the scene. And yeah, this doesn't feel like a retread of like we just took a different direction to get there.
This Falcone cool. Feels different than the one in Begins.
Exactly.
No, absolutely.
Much different than the one in Gotham.
It seems like I wouldn't know
your favorite
about that. It seems even though we know Maroni's a bad guy and he had the drops business, he was iced out of the whole renewal scheme by Falcone.
The sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, Falcone went to the mayor, the DA, the police, and he gives him information, and they get rid of Maroni.
Falcone, and that just fits. You can fill in your own history with that too.
Yeah.
So just think of the Long Halloween. At some point in that comic, couldn't you just insert somewhere that Falcone rats him out to get him out of the picture? Yes. And it's like that fits perfectly. It's what an Ohio State fan would do to a Michigan fan.
It's probably, I mean, this may just be my fan mind. What I want to be my backstory here is like maybe Falcone and Maroni are rival. They're going at it to be the top
turf war,
the top dog in Gotham, the top mafia, organized crime boss, and Falcone sees a way to eliminate him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it works.
And
you said what I hope for the Penguin series.
Well, Maroni coming back.
Yeah,
doesn't it make sense? I mean, he would.
I've been saying it since day one. This is going to be a battle between Oswald and Maroni.
He's going to be released because it's going to come out that the whole thing was
a sham.
A sham, and the conviction will be thrown out, and he'll return to Gotham. And
I mean, I could totally fan canon this and say, "Oh, Harvey Dent will represent Maroni," and that's how Harvey Dent gets his rise to DA.
I mean,
big cases.
I mean,
that's how Christie became governor of New Jersey.
You know who would be at that trial? Bach.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, Bach.
I was there. You have any idea what kind of trouble you're in?
Oh man. So we know at that point we know the plan. Now Selina's thing is, and there's a little bit of Batman and Selina kind of do similar things. They both leave at that point or right after that. Selina is still, she says, "Come on, vengeance, let's kill that son of a bitch." And this creep too, talking about Kinsey, Batman. She pulls out she got the gun.
I think I keep calling him Mackenzie. It's Mackenzie Bach.
Mackenzie Bach and
damn it!
Yes,
I get tongue twisted as well.
You know what I am? I'm a son of a bitch.
Well, clearly you don't watch the movie, though.
Yeah, I know. First time viewing.
He slaps that gun out of her hand and says no. I mean, damn near yells it, and he goes, "We'll get him, but but not that way." And goes on and tells her that he says there is no. What does he say? You cross that line, you become just like him. Listen to me. You don't want to throw your life away.
This is the most heroic Batman we've had since forever, in my opinion. Like, He gives these speeches that are just meant to try to inspire you to be better. He just does.
I think there are a lot of heroic moments from Christian Bale.
Yeah, okay. I can't really argue with
I
that.
think there were, but the main point here is yes, I think Pattinson is flat out like heroic.
Yeah.
I fully 100% agree with you. And a lot of this right here is the Batman qualities that we all know and love.
And do you find that I know he's had a soft spot for Selena, but before, prior to the Alfred, what I call the epiphany scene, because that's the moment where he really goes from vengeance, starts to become more, a hero and justice and, all of that. But he seems to have a strong moral fiber, but he's still up until the whole finding out about his dad and the cover up and all that stuff that.
Well, I think at this point, he's in the beginning of this chapter, he's finally realized that there are other people he cares about. Like it takes Alfred to kind of almost near death experience for him to realize there are still other people in his life. And I think that's what that hospital scene really does. It opens his eyes in a way,
Oh, it totally opens his eyes.
Yeah.
It completely changes. I think it changes Bruce Wayne and it changes Batman. Now,
I don't want to say he's almost accepted his parents' death at that moment, because then that Bruce Wayne never really accepts it. But you could see that moment where he starts to realize, other people are more important. You mentioned, and he does start caring about Selena, but it's that moment where Alfred, the person, she's like, is there? I remember even when earlier on when the woman, the nurse asked him, is there anyone else? He's like, no. He realized this is it.
It's I just see him. When we talk about being a hero, he does, and this from that point on in the film, it's the vengeance part is gone, and it really becomes a hero from that moment going forward. And yes, he's even here with her, it's we're not going to do it that way. Don't throw your life away.
She call him Vengeance, and he's like, "Why did you say that name?"
that would be a nice little homage to BVS.
You son of a bitch! Why'd you say that name?
Selena, at that point, she's like, "Don't worry, honey, I've got 9 of them,"
which we saw everywhere. Great line. We saw it in a lot of the marketing and stuff. Yeah. I think it's a catchy line.
She kicks Kinsey off the.
But her
ledge.
exit's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And Batman uses his grappling gun to save him. She takes off.
Kick-ass line, kicks a dude off a building and jumps off a building.
Is that the most Catwoman thing you've ever seen?
That's great.
Her mission, she's going after Falcon now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's still avenging Annika.
Well, now she's got double motive.
Yeah.
You killed my mother and you killed my best friend. The same way, the Gotham Strangler over here.
Yeah.
Batman Batman saves Kinsey, and Gordon makes the point. He says, they all know where she's going. If he gets to, she kills Falcone, they're never going to find the Riddler. They know now he's the key. Bring him into the light, to find the Riddler.
Great catch.
Yeah.
How fast he moves, and then of course they both pull him back up, and the way I'm a sucker for that, that gauntlet that he has with the hooks. I love the sound, everything with that, and he reloads it while he's talking to Gordon, and they're explaining that.
I love when he does it when he talks to Oswald in the beginning of the movie too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's great.
You could see Reeves's love for 66 here too, as well, as we just watched Batman run down the beam. 66 they went up, but Reeves went down. It's just wonderful. It just is
fun camera trick too.
Yeah, and it's just it's that's cool stuff that I want to see Batman doing.
It was so Batman, like I said, they both. Catwoman, Selena, and Batman, they both take off different agendas. Batman not only has to stop her from killing Falcone, and even, he says to Gordon, I have to stop her. I got it. And he says, don't you mean we? And this is the first time he really breaks from Gordon, but not totally. He just says, I got to do this my way. And then he says, and then what, Gordon? He's, we'll do what the Riddler said. We'll bring the rat into the light. So he's got to keep her from killing Falcon and then bring Falcon, the rat, into the light. And that run, yes, I even wrote it down, and Pete mentioned it. Using the repelling thing, the run down the beam. It was very cool and very.
That I like to bring up
60s.
The score in G Kino. This track is "Are You a Kenzie or a Cancy?"
That always makes me laugh when that one comes up.
But then, the music at this part after Batman takes off down the side of the building, and it's a mix of it, like kind of bringing in the strings of with Catwoman. And it does like this, I don't know. I love this part. It sounds great. And it's like a high pitched drawing it out. I don't know. There's something unique that is like only at this part right here for like 10, 15 seconds or whatever. But love the track title. And then, also the music itself. I love it.
It's, and so we get it ends, we get a brief moment, basically, I mean, what's it, about a minute or so? And when Selina gets to the Iceberg Lounge, says she wants to see Falcon, and says
he's not seeing anybody.
Yeah. Tell him it's Bellonica.
Bellonica, yep.
Yeah. Which I'd never. Okay, is it just me, or did she not use that name before?
I thought she said it. Tell him it's about Annika. I didn't.
That's
know
what I thought
her.
she said. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to watch it with subtitles.
Well, now I got to go back and rewatch with subtitles.
Tell him it's about Annika.
That's what I.
That's what I thought she said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I need to watch subtitles.
I think we need to watch it again.
Because
maybe you're right.
Yeah,
maybe you're right. Bill. I don't know.
She like to make fun
because
of me
it
for
will
that.
change my interpretation a little bit. Because, well, I guess the doorman, the guard, would know who she was from her working at the Iceberg Lounge in 44 Below.
Kind of like, well, why is the waitress up here? I'm watching it right now.
Because I took it as, took it as.
It's about Annika. Tell him if it's about Annika.
Okay.
That's all she says.
Okay. So he must have gone in there. Because I thought it was like, he went in there and said, hey, that Bellonica. And I thought it was a name that she was going by at the club, not Selina. So good. I learned something new every time I watch a chapter of this. But he's.
What do you guys think of Zoe's outfit in this scene? She comes up with one of her great club outfits and wigs. It's not as much. I like the red wig the best personally, but this one.
She is clearly doing that to distract Falcone.
Yeah, no, I get it. She wants everything to kind of seem, normal, right?
Yeah, she's not coming there like in.
You know who I am.
Well, she had to get in there. She probably could not got in there as Catwoman, but she could get in there as Selina.
Yeah, no, totally.
So, well, and then the last part right before this chapter ends is how open and welcoming he is. Hey, to her. What is it about her that he has such
have you seen her?
Soft spot.
I think he knows there's something. I think he knows there's a chance that she's his. There's no doubt. There's no way he forgot about Maria Kyle, especially since he killed her. Let's be honest. But he's probably got a wife and kids of his own at home, and that's just bad for business. You can't let that get out. The wife's not going to appreciate it. So, he's got to have an idea. Right?
Do you think he loves Selina more than he loves Alberto, who's at home? That's never referenced or something. You said a wife and kid at home.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's why Alberto's not at the club.
Well, things
probably playing his stupid puzzles.
Or he was one of the guys playing pool earlier with Penguin and learning all about the history of pool balls.
Do you see just when you mentioned that Falcone? Do you see? Sophia and Alberto showing up
That
And
would be
The Penguin
interesting.
series.
and in the Penguin.
That would be interesting, but
I'd like to see that deep cut. We'll see.
Yeah, but then also sometimes too, it depends on how it would play out. Because I do hate in retroactively bringing in characters and taking credit for things that happened.
I don't know if you
before.
could-
It's like,
you-
yeah, but we knew this is not what you were thinking back when you made the original, so it feels like, But then just
You
for
could
that
pull it
touch of
off.
continuity and history of Alberto. Alberto, I almost have the biggest problem with, I think, just because there is no mention of the direct son who also lives in Gotham in the first Batman. Whereas you bring in a Sophia because she was locked up the whole time, or Carla Vitti from a differing city, you bring her up later. I think that can happen more organically than his direct son,
What's more organic
who's
than
never mentioned before.
my father's dead? I'm here to take over the crown. Like, what's more organic than that? So what if Sophia's just in Miami handling, I don't know, the
Exactly.
the
She was in
Falcon
a different
cocaine
city.
business.
That's
And
what I
now that
mean.
Pops is dead.
Alberto is always in Gotham following his dad around. So for him to be completely absent in this movie and then to pop up, I don't know. Something with that just means like, Whereas
that's
anybody
striking.
else
We
would
have-
feel like they
I
could do
don't mind
that.
that.
Well, we have to get to the next chapter to get rid of Falcone
Yeah.
before we can
That was one of my favorite
Start-
moments from the movie.
start
too.
bringing in Sophia and Alberto and whoever else. So she says, I was hoping I could talk to you alone. And we will absolutely.
And, since Pete already watched the next chapter, let's go ahead and keep going. Chapter 13.
I
Pete.
love Toro.
And she, and then he's like,
I gotta
give
pop
us,
the Blu-ray.
give us a minute here, boys. And then
Yeah.
see you later, champ. Johnny Slick.
Johnny's like, hey, I love Penguin's interactions with both Bruce Wayne and Batman because they're so drastically different. Like, he sees Bruce Wayne, he's like, rich chump, let me make fun of you a little bit, even though I'm like this.
The first
Gimp
time he even
scar.
said, is that right?
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
then later on, they, hey, Chip.
Hey, Johnny
Hey.
Slick.
What are you doing here?
You've got an Oz in you, Pete. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I wish.
You got an inner Oz. But I think since we're near the end of Falcone, I agree. I do love Turturro's Falcone. He's very different than Tom Wilkinson in Begins. And he is different from I watched a little bit of Gotham. But then, recently the Long Halloween animated movies, all three interpretations are different. I think the Long Halloween one is almost most effective. And I know I'm combining live action and animation, but he seemed like really fearful. He was very intense. Turturro brings, I think, he's calculated. And I don't know which way would be more effective, because the Long Halloween one is like his presence. You see him and it's almost like people shit themselves. It's like, oh man, that's Falcone. Whereas this one, he is playing it, I think, very, very almost like modest, but you discover that, but he's the puppet master pulling all of the strings. Is that which one is like more threatening? Maybe Turturro's?
I agree with you. I'm going to steal a line from Mr. Deeds. It's the sneakiness, sir. Like, he's sneaky.
Turturro's
evil.
classic film.
Yeah, he's sneaky
Mr.
evil.
Deeds.
He's not imposing physically. You don't look at this guy and you kind of just think like, oh, I could push this guy. Who is this guy? This guy doesn't look tough. He doesn't
Credit
look
why
like a
he's
tough
gotten
guy.
away with it for 20 years.
Yeah. But then, like, when he gets into his when he does what he's got to do, this man is ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
a stone cold killer.
I mean, we're going to talk about it because I can get him ahead of myself. Yes, he is. Because you know what happens in the next chapter?
Yeah.
My own flesh and blood. And then also the arrogance, when I don't want to get into, we'll save it, but
okay. All
Batman walking him out and just like,
Calm down, Zorro.
yeah, whatever, ain't nothing going to happen to me. So we'll get into that in chapter 13. Any final thoughts, boys, on this chapter? I really like, even though it's shorter, I really liked everything that went down in this one. And I thought it was a very important part because we know the whole deal now. We know the whole deal. Now it's a matter of basically of stopping it. You know,
this I feel like is like this, and then the next scene are the standout scenes for Zoe Kravitz as Selena. Again, it sounds crazy, I know, but like it is her pacing and head movements and looking and then the tears she brings, and and the watery eyes and stuff, and all that. I think she is great in this part. And I think Pattinson, and I thought this too, just watching this chapter, of like, God damn, yet again, like Pattinson, a lot of it is just eyes and his Batman voice. And
it's subtle. It's such a subtle voice.
We're in for this is a smaller moment. Pattinson is there in the suit, talking and looking in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we're in good hands with Pattinson and the cowl.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a whole lot to do physically in this scene. And he is like, when the camera cuts on him, it's like, God damn, that's a good Batman.
Yeah, the only action.
It reminds me a lot of what they did with Keaton. Like Keaton's eyes could set the tone of a scene in a Batman movie. Like Pattinson, he doesn't say a whole lot, but what he says is meaningful.
He took he took Keaton's precedent with that.
Yeah.
And brought to a whole different level, because it's the entire film. And it's because it's the entire film, it's because he's Batman in the entire damn film.
You're damn right he is. He's the goddamn Batman.
So yeah, I just thought it was great.
It's great. We are, let's just be honest. We are very lucky to have this movie. And as Batman fans, and the three of us here, we are Batman fans first and foremost. We deserve this after the craziness before, but it's great that we have something like this now. This movie is just, from a Batman's fan perspective, it's just absolutely brilliant. It's a wonderful Batman and Gordon story I've always wanted. It just is. I'm really happy with this. I just talk about this one chapter just brings a smile on my face. I'm very thankful for this film.
I echo, ditto, whatever, everything you said. And we are getting to we're getting toward the finish line here, boys, with this series. Although we are going to do
one. 66.
We still have, let's see, we got what, 5 more to go, Lauer? Just not counting the credits.
I think 5 credits. And then, we're going to do the extras of seeing Joker in Arkham.
Yeah. So we got 3 additional.
Our bonus.
We're going to do Joker and Penguin, Catwoman.
And then we'll do a favorites recap.
Yeah.
Favorite moments
I'd like
the
to
chapter by
put my
chapter
hat
series.
I'd like to put my name in the hat for the Batman Returns chapter by chapter. I'd love to do that.
Bill already called dibs.
You can host the whole damn thing, because I ain't gonna be on it.
All right, so I've got Batman Returns and BVS. All right, that's fine.
But yes, here's the big announcement. I've executive decision. I already thought about it the other day. Let's do it for every damn live action Batman film.
You do understand the undertaking of just one of these. Because I haven't checked to see. So this, at least the Batman broke it down. It is only 19 chapters. I haven't seen if the other movies are like where they go crazy of like 46 chapters or something.
I think Nolan likes chapters. I think the Burton movies will be a little bit longer chapter wise.
Gotcha. I mean, also you can do chapters by chapters and just group them 1 to 3 or something. If it's crazy like that, I don't know.
BOF is going to be around for a while, so we got enough content coming.
We got 6 years or so left, so yeah, let's get it done. Look on Mel's face.
So that's it.
That's it. Yeah. So I want to do this. I'll do it for the other ones. I gotta have. I mean, this has been fun.
He said he will do it for the other ones, Pete. That's basically signing. Yes, I'll be on for.
I'm going to get him on for at least one chapter of Batman.
I done talked to Batman Returns for its 30th anniversary, and that was enough.
You're all welcome for that, by the way.
Yeah, that was enough. All right, let's plug Lauer. As
Yes,
always,
me
I'll let
first,
you go
please.
first before Pete.
Pete's already flexing before he starts flexing about his his drops. Go to batmanonfilm.com. I recently have 2 reviews up for Batman 127, The Return of Batman Zur-En-Arrh, which Bill adores. It's almost his favorite. I hope Matt Reeves does a live action version because that's what Bill wants.
God.
I did email Lee Bermejo a picture of that cover from the original comic of Batman from Zur-En-Arrh. Because remember, I wanted to. I did suggest to him in our interview with him, Ryan, that
Yes,
I wanted to see his take on the Batman.
Oh, I'd like to see it too. What do you say?
Nice.
Or haven't you heard
Good
from
hat.
him yet?
Good hat, Pete. I haven't heard back from him yet.
I heard back. Okay. Also, speaking of Lee Bermejo, because it's all connected, I have a review up on the site for his recent release, Batman Dear Detective. Bill and I also in the last social hour sat down with Mr. Lee Bermejo for what I thought, Bill, was an awesome. Yeah, you got yours. Good. I thought it was a great discussion with Bermejo. And let's see, the last Batman animation episode, check the podcast feed. Bill and I were on to talk Scooby-Doo and Guess Who? What a Night for a Dark Night, which I also thought was a lot of fun to talk about with Bill. And then my podcast, the Batman Book Club. Bill also is generous and posts those on Batman on Film proper. The most recent episode just dropped yesterday talking about Lee Bermejo's Joker. How about that? With the one great beer savior from the Batman watch party weekend, Trey Jackson. He was on. It was a great discussion with him. And yeah, he blew my mind on something that I'd never noticed before in that. So you can check that out. Follow on Twitter at the Batman BC. Go to BOF where Bill's posting those episodes, or it's wherever you get your podcasts. Okay. Not as smooth as what Pete's about to do with his drops, but there you go.
Pete,
got a lot going on recently.
When are you going to host a Batman animation episode?
He called dibs on an episode.
I did. I called up. I believe. What was it? Old Wounds. I'm going to do that one. That's probably my favorite episode. I can't remember. It's got to be New Batman Adventures. It's all Batman animated series for me. If you ask me, it's all BTAS.
Yeah.
I always break it down by volumes. I'm like, yeah, that's volume 4.
Yeah. Okay.
On the original the DVD releases. I'm like, oh yeah, that was volume 4.
I called dibs on that. I mean, everyone knows I love me some Dick Grayson, so I'd love to talk about that. And
aren't you getting the sheriff on with that one?
I can't talk Robin without Mr. Robin himself, and I'm not talking about Rob Myers. I'm talking about BOF, so Ryan Haas. But you can follow me on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite platform, Vero, at Pete Illustrated. You can follow podcast number 1, news-based podcast that I co-host with the champion of Long Island, Eric Nikolai Holzman. That is Straight Outta Gotham, straight_O_G, both Instagram and Twitter. Check us out on Facebook. We got a Facebook fan page and a Facebook group. Lots of great stuff there. So if you like what's going on in the BOF group, it's a little bit more of a broader DC topic and stuff, Marvel and everything over on Straight Outta Gotham. Follow podcast number 2, the Italian Spider-Man Coalition podcast. I co-host that with Chicago's finest, Nicholas and Nico Caruso, just a couple of guineas talking about Spider-Man. So there's good stuff there. Lots of fun. At Team Yellow Oval, we're celebrating the Oval's return on the big screen in The Flash, not on HBO Max with Batgirl, so we'll have to get over that. Check me out on batmanandfilm.com. Got Batman comic book reviews for Detective Comics and other things. Batman Film YouTube for interviews of the past with Uslan and Tara Strong and all that good stuff. Comic Cons and all that jazz. So check that out. Toy reviews, anything you can want. I'm all over. Hit me up on Twitter. Let's talk. Baseball season is coming to an end. The postseason's coming up, and I have no idea if the Yankees will survive. So I'm on edge. Very on edge. And if you're asking me who I'm rooting for this year in the NFL, whoever plays the Giants on a weekly basis.
That is hilarious.
Well, until they admit to where.
Yeah, but I like your cap you have on right now, though.
Yeah, I will. I enjoy my
sporting.
I like wearing my Cowboys hats and my Patriots hats. I like to jab both fan bases. It's easier to get the Jet fans riled up, but the Cowboy Giant fan rivalry is something else. I like poking the fun.
Well, for me, all I got is that if you like what we do here at Batman on Film, want to help keep things going, go to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm. It's patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm. If you want to advertise on Batman on Film, AdvertiseCast, AdvertiseCast.com/BatmanOnFilm. That's a good, I like that. Pete is holding up Batman the Imposter, which is a fantastic, and Batman 89. I got that. Yes, sir. I got all of those. I just got my 89. When did that come out? About 2 weeks ago?
Two of my favorite stories of the year, 89 and The Imposter.
Speaking of The Imposter, Mattson Tomlin is co-writing the Batman. I have a story. I did a short story of that on BOF. I don't think we've talked about that on a podcast, but that's interesting. This time he'll get a credit, I'm sure.
Good.
For his work.
Good for him.
Let's see what else. Oh, all these shows are part of the Batman Podcast Network. Just go to Batman on Film, find the podcast drop down box or the logo, and it'll take you there. You can check out all those shows. And I think that's all I got. Oh, TeePublic, TeePublic.com/Batman on Film. All kind of cool shirts and whatever, stickers, whatever you want to take the logo and put them on. That's the thing. I think that's all I have. There's the Batman Book Club.
Oh yeah,
shirt.
Oh yeah, I know that totally looked like I was trying. Bill, don't forget about me. But I was
check out my pecs.
One more thing I will mention. I'm gonna let y'all help me out on this. I have 2 of these. I'm gonna give one away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Batman, Dear Detective.
All right. So we got to come up with just. I'm not gonna do a trivia thing this time, but. Give me y'all. Let y'all decide. I need a code word. You have to email me a code word with your contact information, and I will.
Bach.
That's it. Done.
That's it.
Done.
Bach?
Okay.
Yes. I was looking at the cover trying to get inspired. I was
the
like,
code word is Bach.
I mean, unless you make "you son of a bitch" one word, I think Bach. There you go.
Yeah,
Bach's easy. BOCK. I'm sure that's how he spells it. Email that to me with the subject line: Batman Dear Detective giveaway. Send me your contact information, and I'll get that up here this coming week on BOF. Bach is the code word. Thanks to Ryan Lauer. So. For Ryan and Pete, I am Bill, announcer Rachel, who is out on the treadmill watching DirecTV after some technical difficulties I had to
She's
solve.
not a fan of Jason Collar, let's put it that way.
No. Announcer Rachel will plug some more stuff. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jet's official vlog and podcast on Batman on Film. Follow Jet on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. Follow the BOF newsfeed on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. For Jet and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, established in 1998.
Uber One member Tracy Morgan here. Yesterday, my friend asked me, why'd you join Uber One? So I said, for 10% off my snacks and $0 delivery fee. Join Uber One.
Order minimums apply. Percentage off discounts only available for participating stores. See uber.com/Uber1 for details.